Check, check. Mic 1, 2. Okay, everything appears to be in order. Stream is good. Mic is good. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Yo, peoples. Kyushu92 here. I changed the perspective a little bit. I kind of raised up where I have my camera sitting just so, you guys can see a little bit more of me because I tend to lean a little bit whenever I'm doing my reactions and whatever, but I'm raising this up so that way I can, sit back. You guys can see me, but you guys can see yourself as well. So, welcome to it is, the end of July, the end of the month, and you guys know what we do here. We reflect on recent chapters of One Piece that have released throughout the month. Now, the thing about this month is that we only got 2 chapters, which means this is going to be a little bit shorter than normal. We're going to cover everything that we got to, and then, I'm not going to try and ramble too much. We'll probably talk about, hopefully, what could possibly be seen in tomorrow's chapter. Since we're getting a new chapter tomorrow, we're coming out of break for both One Piece and My Hero Academia as well. It's good to see everyone here. Good to see you, Kohagen. Let's talk about it. Now, if you're one of those individuals who tends to read these early scans, I don't want to hear anything about it. I don't want to know nothing. Not even a hint. Not even a smidgen of an iota of a little bit of info. I want to know nothing. So let's just go ahead and get started with the first chapter that we got. Chapter 1018, Jinbei versus Who's Who. Now, I neglected to read the cover page request that was on this chapter. It was reader request page 1 as a child trying to read a book of dinosaurs and being interrupted by Ulti, who wants him to play with her and her stuffed dinosaurs. Grown-up version. So it just shows, Ulti and page 1 as they're grown-ups, but they're basically doing the thing they wanted to do as they were kids. By Honey Liquor. This is something I didn't read when I did the reaction the first time. But going through, we have the gifters. This is when the gifters started to turn on the beast pirates and started rampaging through the performance hall. Inside the castle, the headliners and gifters have joined the samurai army, about 300 of them, and they're going up against all of the beast pirates, while Usopp, Tama, and Nami are running away from other beast pirates who are trying to go after them because they realize that Tama's the one who did something. But Daifugo comes in with a scorpion death needle and pretty much gets all of the beast pirates that were chasing Tama, and she says, "Oh, hi, Daifugo," and then Daifugo gives her a thumbs up. Then we have Lady Speed come in, and they all hop on the back of Lady Speed, except for Usopp, who's just running behind them, and Gazelle Man is there as well, saying that Komachio was knocked out back there. You must be worried, right? Let's take care of it. And it goes on to show Usopp, who's managed to finally land on Lady Speed, with Nami complimenting Tama's power over all of the gifters and the headliners as well. It's really powerful. It doesn't work on full-fledged Zoans, but the fact that Kaido's army is made up of so many artificial Zoan devil fruit users, it makes it she pretty much has like a small army on her side already, just from her Kibidongos, just from her sailing from from Wano all the way over to Onigashima. She made enough Kibidongos to cause, an army's worth of Kaido's own men to turn against them, and now they fight for Tama. But that's a really powerful devil fruit power, and that is specifically useful for this war that's going on right now. Zeus pops up saying, "Hey, Nami, can I be your servant like before?" And Nami says, "Absolutely not." And then Nami says, "Well, what do you say about being my sidekick?" So it's not like a servant-master relationship. It is a sidekick, and we mostly associate sidekicks with superheroes. But what is it when that person with a sidekick is not a hero? What would you call that? Because that's what we normally associate the word sidekick with. It's kind of, I don't know. Hold on. You know what? Since we're here, sidekick. Close companion or colleague who is generally regarded as a subordinate to the one they accompany. But what do you call the person that the sidekick is following? Because, like I said, we normally associate it with superheroes. Then again, there's some examples here where they don't necessarily actually are specific to sidekicks. It's just that we're so used to seeing them being affiliated with that word. But it's good to see you, D-Train, as well. Now, moving on, Zeus is happy to see that Nami wants him to be her sidekick rather than servant. That whole angle is gone now. Now we have Nami's sidekick, Zeus, a super powerful, homie that is now in her climatic that she has at her disposal. And Zeus goes off saying, "Out of the way, losers, I'm Nami's sidekick." And he just goes ahead of Nami and the others while Lady Speed is taking them someplace, and he just zaps everyone. Nami literally has an overpowered upgrade to her climatic right now. And seeing as how Nami has accepted him as her sidekick, Zeus is more than willing to go clear the path in front of him. So Nami's got a very awesome power up to her already powerful repertoire. And as this is going on, join the samurai, strike down Kaido. Hey, have you guys gone insane? Some of the headliners' followers are joining them. There are roughly 1,000 of them, and in the surprise of the betrayal, they've managed to take out about 1,000 of ours. We cut to CP0, who's still sitting inside their little waiting room, just chilling, listening to all this going down. Meaning the Animal Kingdom pirates started with 30,000 and have dropped to 20,000. When you add 1,000 traders and casualties each, that number drops even further. It's 16,000 versus 9,000, and White may grow further depending on the gifter's efforts. Now, White is, and I believe they're playing either Go or Shogi. I believe it's Go. But the white pieces on this panel in chapter 1018 signifies the samurai, while the black pieces signify the beast pirates. And slowly but surely, those colors have been becoming more and more white. Slowly, but surely. So the numbers of Kaido's men has started to slightly get closer to matching that of the samurai. It used to be where the samurai only had like 5,000 just starting. And now their numbers have grown exponentially with the appearance of, Tama adding on to the gifters and pretty much starting to even the odds. So much has transpired on Onigashima right now that has caused the once thought to be impossible numbers of defeating Kaido and his entire pirate crew army to looking more and more in the samurai's favor with every new face that pops up. And then one of the other CP0 members says, "Whichever side wins does not matter to us, but there is one death we must confirm before this is over." We'll find out who that person is as we go further into this chapter. Are you sure it's him? That classified intelligence he ran off with was old, and there's no real harm to the government. So going forward from here, they continue speaking, saying, "It doesn't set good precedent that you can escape from us and live to tell the tale." Assuming he survives this, of course. He is fighting Jinbei after all, and obviously, if the title card wasn't anything to go by, the person that CP0 is speaking about is Who's Who. And then we cut to the 4th floor, where Who's Who is fighting Jinbei, and he's in his hybrid Zoan form. He uses shave and moonwalk to, aim upwards into the air. And this is the chapter where we officially found out that Shanks was the one who stole the fruit. Now in chapter 1017, it had left us left a lot of us wondering what could have happened. Could it have been a third party and then Shanks took it from them, or Shanks was the one who got it? Well, this chapter pretty much confirms that it was Shanks himself that took the Gum Gum fruit from pretty much Who's Who and the world government when they were transporting it. Still doesn't explain why, of all fruits, the Gum Gum fruit was the one being transported and needed a CP9 escort, but Shanks was the one who took it. And Who's Who holds a grudge both against Shanks and Luffy, due to him being the current holder of the Gum Gum fruit, because of what it did to him. What it did to him was it pretty much removed him from CP9 and had him imprisoned. And Jinbei's saying, so you're saying you bear a grudge against Luffy? And Who's Who says, technically my grudge is against the man who stole the Gum Gum fruit from us, red-haired Shanks. And he uses a move called Fang Pistol. It's like Finger Pistol, but it's done with his teeth rather than when Rob Lucci does it, and he only does it with his finger. And when he's in his hybrid form, it's exponentially increased with the power of his claws. And Jinbei manages to... It hits Jinbei a little bit, and even though Jinbei was hockeyed up, it managed to bypass his hockey defenses and cause Jinbei to bleed a little bit. It's not a profuse amount of blood, but it's enough blood on Jinbei for it to be for us to see that the Fang Pistol can bypass Jinbei's hockey. And Who's Who continues saying, but both the straw hat he wore at the time and the Gum Gum fruit were things the boy inherited from him. Of course he'll be the target of my rage. So he bears a grudge against Luffy simply because Luffy has the Gum Gum fruit and the straw hat of Shanks. Because the real grudge is against Shanks, but because Luffy's affiliated with Shanks, getting revenge against Shanks with Luffy is the next best thing for Who's Who. With all this new additions of gifters and pleasures, in the end, Luffy's Grand Fleet will be 20,000. Now that Chopper and Nami had a buff, it is Usopp's turn to get an upgrade. Look, we haven't seen your boy use observation haki since Dressrosa. That's actually when he awakened his observation haki. Now, I don't know if he fully realizes that he has observation haki, but Usopp is due for a little bit of an upgrade himself. Because he really hasn't had a really massive moment. Like, everyone else has had massive moments in recent arcs. Like, Zoro had a moment where he defeated Pika during Dressrosa and cut through the giant statue of himself. And then we have Brook, who had like a big pivotal moment where he pretty much not only took on Big Mom, but also managed to get a imprint of the road poneglyph and stored it in his head so that the Straw Hats could be able to leave and still have exactly what they wanted. Then we have Sanji, pretty much everything that Sanji did during Whole Cake Island as well, including saving his own family members and also saving Luffy as well. And you have so many, and then you have Chopper in Wano, who basically beat Queen in terms of medical know-how and created a cure for the Ice Oni rounds that was, causing so much death and destruction throughout just all the samurai and the beast pirates as well. So much that it caused some of the beast pirates who were cast away by Queen, just say, be the cannon fodder so we can win this. It's only fitting that you die in order for us to win this battle. All of those, they pretty much just joined up with Chopper as well. So a lot of people had some massively pivotal moments as well. But I also feel like it's time for not just Usopp to get a moment to shine where he gets a buff, but Robin as well. Because she really hasn't had a really big fight since... I honestly can't remember. I don't think Robin has had like a major fight on her own since she was fighting, Hammond? Hammond in Fishman Island, and we see her use like a double clutch with her own Hana clone. But that was just like during an ongoing war in Fishman Island. She really hasn't had a solitary fight for herself, nor have we seen her use anything beyond Gigantesco Mano, because that's pretty much the most we've seen is just her create giant limbs with her power, but we haven't seen her do anything beyond that yet. So Brook needs a moment where his repertoire gets a buff, and we need to see one from Robin as well. You guys have brought it up before, but I feel like if Robin was to ever learn hockey, she would be a literal danger to any Devil Fruit user. Specifically Logias, when you think about it. Sure, she may not have the massive strength, but I feel like if she learned how to use hockey and bypass Logias and then sprout arms all over their bodies, she would be a massive danger to any Logias if she ever were to learn hockey. Armament hockey specifically. But that remains to be seen. Hopefully we see some real big pivotal moments from both Brook and Robin as they're fighting Black Maria, because due to the nature of these chapters, Black Maria is pretty much the only one who is still, only Tobi Roppo who is still active. But we'll get to that when we get to that during the chapter. So going back through here, Who's Who is still fighting Jinbei, just shooting countless amounts of Fang pistols at Jinbei. And the Fang pistols are incredibly powerful. They literally just bore completely clean holes through the floor as they start to try and hit, as they pretty much randomly hit beast pirates who are under the floor underneath them. And a guy loses his arm in the process. They're extremely sharp. And the guy ends up losing his arm in the process. And then this is when Who's Who acknowledges that even Jinbei's armament hockey isn't enough to stop the Fang pistols. And because as Who's Who was shooting all of these Fang pistols at him, Jinbei pretty much just dodged out of the way. Jinbei's a big guy, but in this panel it shows him literally disappearing from sight the moment Who's Who tried to shoot him with countless Fang pistols. Jinbei is crazy fast. And Who's Who says, you made the right decision to dodge. Your typical armament hockey won't stop those fangs from tearing you apart. Though I'm surprised to see how quickly you can move on land, Jinbei, for a fishman. This is when we start to see just how much of a racist Who's Who is. Because he just says, like, you're fast on land, for a fishman. And this is when Jinbei says, I don't believe this. Don't you know casual racism against fishmen is out of style these days? And then it shows Who's Who going on all fours using Iron Body, and Jinbei hockeys up as well as Who's Who launches at him with Fang Flash, which is essentially Who's Who trying to bite down on Jinbei by imbuing hockey into his own teeth, including his, elongated fangs due to the nature of him being a saber-toothed tiger Zoan. And he tries to bite down on Jinbei, but Jinbei catches him and using Fishman Jiu-Jitsu, uses low tide shoulder throw to just throw Who's Who directly over his shoulder. Now, mind you, this also did some damage to Who's Who because it caused him to cough up blood as well. And then Jinbei gathers water in his hands and throws use water shot on Who's Who uses shave to dodge out of the way. Then we see Who's Who has jumped up to a higher scaffolding saying, that hurt. I wanted to ask you about a story I heard in jail from a guard. While I was there undergoing terrible torments, he laughed and told me to pray. Now, going through here, we find out about a little story about the sun god Nika. Apparently, there was a figure that slaves would pray to in the long distant past, a legendary warrior they believe would one day free them, the sun god Nika. Did he exist or did they dream him up? They thought he'd bring smiles to their faces and deliver them from suffering. Now, mind you, the words the sun god Nika, the sentence the sun god Nika is in bold. So this is probably going to have some part to play later on in the storyline. There's no way you're just going to talk about this in Onigashima and the whole Wano arc, and then you never bring it up again. It always has some major significance when these new individuals are referenced. And Jinbei is just listening to this story as Husu continues to attack him, saying, "My time in prison felt so endless. I actually clung to that strange legend of theirs. Save me, I thought. Someone, anyone." And then Jinbei's just wondering, why would you ask me about this? And Husu continues saying, "Because you led the Sun Pirates. I heard there are former slaves in that crew. And what is Fishman history but the history of slavery?" And here it is. It's just that Who keeps digging that nail in that coffin even more, just constantly reminding Jinbei that, hey, you're a fish man. You know all about being a slave. So why don't you tell me about what this story means? And then Who's Who hockeys up with his fingers and uses finger pistols spots, and just peppers Jinbei constantly over and over and over again, trying to, puncture Jinbei with, force. And Jinbei has hockeyed up his body while the Beast Pirates are in the background just watching all this go on, cheering on Who's Who because they think that Who's Who is going to win. But we see that as Who's Who is constantly puncturing into Jinbei. Now, mind you, he is drawing blood from Jinbei, but it's not deep, because soon after we see that Jinbei has hockeyed himself up so much that Who's Who actually breaks one of his own fingers on Jinbei's skin. And then Jinbei grabs the wrists of Who's Who with Fishman Karate, shark grip, and he grips Who's Who so much that he breaks his wrists. Now, let me go to Fishman Karate so you guys can understand just what Jinbei did and the next attack that he's going to do to him. So let me go pull this up real quick. I like the layouts of how they did wikis now, where it has a little sidebar on the side and everything else is just here at the top. I prefer that. I greatly like this new look. All right, so it's called So Shark. Literally, and it's in the Viz manga and Funimation subs. This is called Shark Grip. Jinbei uses his tremendous strength and grip to crush anything he grabs. Jinbei's grip is so powerful and can be effective even against a powerful hardening armament hockey user. So even Jinbei's grip is so strong it can bypass powerful armament hockey users. That's how strong it was. It was first seen against Who's Who, and then we see it's called a Shark Grip. So, going back, and Jinbei says, "I have nothing to say to the likes of you." And all of the Beast Pirates are surprised to see Who's Who's wrists get broken. And then Who's Who tries to kick at Jinbei, but it does nothing to Jinbei. Then he tries to open his mouth real wide and tries to bite into Jinbei. Tries to actually aim a point-blank fang pistol at Jinbei. And it literally doesn't do anything to Jinbei in this next panel. Jinbei is unfazed by the fang pistol. Now remember, beforehand, these fang pistols was enough to go straight through Jinbei's armament hockey. But he gets hit in the face with this fang pistol, and he doesn't even flinch. He's not even using hockey on his face right now, and he doesn't even flinch from it. And Jinbei braces himself to use Fishman Karate's secret art, Gyojin Karate Ogi. And then Who's Who knows what's coming, and he says, "Crap, he just snapped all of a sudden." And he tries to get away, but Jinbei has his foot on Who's Who's tail, with Jinbei saying, "If you're going to run your mouth about history, Be ready for what you're stepping into first. And then uses a new move called Demon Brick Fist, which is essentially Jinbei. Well, let me just read it here. Gyojin Karate Ogi Ogigawara Seiken. Onigawara Seiken. Literally meaning Fishman Karate Secret Technique Onigawara True Fist. Jinbei delivers a powerful straight punch, just a straight punch, similar to his other Seiken, but used with armament haki. With armament hardening technique and without connecting to its real target. It is able to generate a powerful black lightning charge shockwave. It was first used against Who's Who. An onigawara, or ogre tile, is a type of roof ornamentation found in Japanese architecture. Generally, roof tiles are statues depicting an oni or a fearsome beast. In the Viz translation, this is called Fishman Karate Secret Technique Demon Brick Fist. So, mind you, when it comes to the regular techniques of Jinbei, such as Arabesque Brick Fist, which is him just punching a short distance away that sends a shockwave that sends people flying, this version is him using haki, hardening his fist up with haki, and then punching at his target. Now, mind you, when Jinbei does these attacks, he's not actually touching him. And yet, it was enough to take down Who's Who. It broke his face, broke his teeth, and sent him flying back. So, can you imagine the devastation you would feel? Like, these are shock waves hitting people. Just the shock waves. These aren't the actual fists hitting people. It is the shock waves themselves. Let me bring up chat. Make sure I ain't missed nothing. No, I ain't missed nothing. All right, we're still good. That's the end of chapter 1018. We have one more chapter, and then that's the end for all the chapters in July. Like I said, we only had 2. So Who's goes down. And then in chapter 1019, titled Heliceratops, we have a queen fighting Sanji, with Queen showing off a lot of his cybernetic enhancements, with Sanji saying the tech to fire lasers again and again. I bet Frankie would love to get his hands on that. And then it shows Zoro being operated on by Tristan and Miyagi, with Miyagi trying to find a space where he can stab into Zoro, because remember, Zoro's supposed to be receiving this ultra regeneration serum that will allow him to heal from his wounds and get him back into the fight, but the side effects of it is going to be twice as horrible as the effects that are already on his body healing him. So, wouldn't be surprised if Zoro goes to sleep for a nice long while after surviving this fight, or he can't just move quite as often. But Zoro's getting this treatment, and Sanji's still fighting Queen. Then we're on the Polar Tang as Luffy's being resuscitated, with all the crew members on the Polar Tang saying, "Get up, Straw Hat, open your eyes." And the first thing that happens to Luffy after he coughs, after reviving, is scream out meat. Because that's his fuel source. As soon as he gets some meat in, he's good to go. Then we cut to the Skull Dome on Onigashima in the Right Brain Tower, where more gifters and headliners are cutting down multiple beast pirates. And it happens to be one headliner who's in the same room with Sasaki and Frankie, that he takes care of all the small fry so that Frankie can take care of Sasaki. Now remember, Frankie is in General Frankie right now, and he's facing off against Sasaki right now. And Sasaki already is well over the size of General Frankie, especially in this bottom panel, where Frankie is saying, "Man, you're tough. I swear I dealt you the finishing blow a couple of times already." And in this panel, it shows that General Frankie is quite short compared to Sasaki in his full Triceratops Zoan form. And Sasaki is saying, "I'd say the same to you. Your resilience is proven to be obnoxious. Now get out of my way." And then we see Sasaki actually don his hybrid Zoan form. And he's got like a weird sword in his hands that turns out to be a sword where the blades on the edge of it start to spin around and pretty much turn into a buzz sword, but he calls it a screw sword. trick mechanism screw sword. So apparently Sasaki has been playing Bloodborne and decided to make a sword of his own with the trick mechanism on it. Is he a hunter? A hunter must hunt. But Sasaki says apparently all of our followers on the performance floor turned code on us too. Well, I'll slaughter anyone who dares to stand in my way. And Frankie says, that freaky sword again. Well, I'm not stepping back. I don't know what happened that caused our enemies to switch sides, but they don't seem to mean any harm. They're my pals now. And then the gifters, who are in the same room with Frankie, start saying, hey, Iron Bro, you want help? And Frankie says, nah, I'm good. You help someone else. Then we see that Sasaki, which is really unique to his Zoan form, is able to take the, bone frill that should be attached to his head. I know, I made note of this when I read through the chapter the last time. He takes the bone frill that's supposed to be attached to his head. It can actually detach and rotate around his neck at high speeds with enough speed to literally lift him off the ground, allowing Sasaki to fly, which is one of the oddest things I have seen in One Piece in quite a while. The last one I saw was Fortrix, and the less I remember of that gifter, the better. And other Beast Pirates, including gifters, are saying, that technique, watch out, Iron Bro! And then Sasaki says, you idiots, worry about yourselves first. Heliceratops! And it shows him using both his screw sword and his neck frill, his bone frill, to just cut through a lot of the gifters that were pretty much helping Frankie. He just cuts them all down. And then he flies back in the air and starts to clash with Frankie. And we see that Sasaki is very mobile when he's using his neck frill to fly, that he may be big, he may be a big, fat, giant Triceratops, but with the neck frill spinning on his neck, he's incredibly agile. His mobility has doubled, even tripled, if you want to call it that, with him using his neck frill to fly around like that. And with Sasaki saying, this is what a Triceratops does. And Frankie says, wow, I had no idea. That propeller really speeds you up to an extreme level. And then Sasaki starts to spin his neck frill around himself, but pushes himself backwards instead of forwards. He can launch himself both backwards and forwards using the neck frill around him. But it turns out that he only did that to get enough runway speed to use a move called Bullet Triceratops, which essentially has him using full speed to just ram directly into Frankie. Now, mind you, this works for Sasaki because as a Triceratops, he already has like 3 horns on his face. So using his Heliceratops technique to launch himself headfirst into someone, it is essentially like a bull rush, but 10 times as powerful because of, the strength of the Zoan, and the fact that he's an ancient Zoan, and the fact that he also has horns on his face as well. So the power that would normally be, him just ramming into someone in a full Zoan form, using his hybrid form, the strength that comes with that, plus the ability to fly, plus the horns, means that it's able to pretty much contend with Frankie in terms of just how powerful they both are in this fight. Very useful technique, also very dangerous, and if it was anyone else other than Frankie, they would immediately be skewered due to the force of the blow itself. And in the process, Sasaki ends up setting off Frankie's shoulder rockets. And but in that same instance, Frankie takes this chance to grab Sasaki and then use a general suplex on him and embed his head into the ground. Now, when Frankie takes his sword with his Franken sword, he tries to use V for victory slash, but Sasaki uses the propeller, pretty much his neck propeller, to jump out of the way of the slash and continues to fight Frankie. And in the process, Sasaki pretty much breaks Frankie's Franken sword and tries to use Bullet's Triceratops again. But when Sasaki gets close to Frankie with Bullet Triceratops, Frankie uses Gao Cannon portable version, General Cannon, and launches Sasaki high into the air. Now, it almost knocks Sasaki out, like you see the whites of his eyes and you see him bleeding from the face, but he quickly regains consciousness, with Sasaki coughing, and it did do some damage to him because he's kind of coughing and wheezing, maybe some slight internal bleeding going on there. And he says, show a bit more respect to the very symbol of fear, the Tobi Roppo of the Animal Kingdom pirates. And then he uses a move called Magnum Ceratops. You know what? Let's pull up the Sasaki as well so we can understand all these moves that he's doing. So let's put up Sasaki. Ryu no Mi Model Triceratops. Actually, I don't even need to look up Sasaki. I can just look up his move. So Heliceratops is, while airborne thanks to his propeller frills, Sasaki approaches his enemy from above and uses his Karakuri Rasento to, that's what it's called, Karakuri Rasento, screw sword, to repeatedly slice them using diagonal swings. It was first used against the gifters of his armored division, who had changed sides because of Tama's ability. Then we have the Tamaceratops, which is also called the Bullets Triceratops. Described as, while grounded in human beast form, Sasaki crouches down, starts spinning his frills, and then charges towards his enemy by propelling himself straight forward at high speeds, headbutting them with his horns, like I described. This move is strong enough to pierce through the General Frankie's shoulder launchers, causing them to explode due to misfiring. The first time Sasaki was seen trying this move, he made a misstep by propelling himself in the wrong direction, awkwardly excusing his blunder as a strategic decision to gain extra space and momentum for the actual attack. So he actually didn't mean to propel himself backwards. So that means this might have been the first time he ever tried this move, because he accidentally launched himself in the opposite direction. I originally thought that he did that on purpose in order to gain some distance so he can build up speed and ram into Frankie. No! He did that on accident. He didn't mean to launch himself in the opposite direction. Wow. I actually gave him more credit than he deserved. Then we have Magnum Ceratops, which is the move that he just did in this panel, going towards the end of this chapter, called Magnum Ceratops. While airborne, Sasaki spins his frills to then dive bomb towards his opponent, headbutting them into the ground with massive force while his horns pierce them. Sasaki first used this after being blown away by the General Frankie's General Cannon as an attempt to counterattack and bring Frankie down with him. This move was strong enough to severely damage the Wappo metal-clad General Frankie, although Frankie himself was able to escape by ejecting himself from his robot. So, in the last minute in this panel, Frankie manages to get out of General Frankie before he's, crushed by Sasaki. And in that moment, Frankie uses a Frankie Radical Beam to pierce straight through Sasaki, and that is the finishing blow. So, in chapter 1018, we have Jinbei beating Who's Who, and here in chapter 1019, we have Frankie beating Sasaki. And the only person who is left standing for the Tobi Roppo right now, is not seen in this chapter, is Black Maria. She is fighting Brooke and Robin. So, a lot of loose ends that I was hoping to get tied up, they're all getting tied up. There's only one more member of the most powerful members of one group of powerful members in the Beast Pirates that is left, and that's Black Maria. Then after that, we have Jack, we have King, we have Queen. With Jack continuing with Inuarashi, we have King, who is someplace, and we have Queen, who is fighting Sanji right now. I wouldn't be surprised if King gets taken on by Zoro once Zoro gets that serum going in him, but that remains to be seen. But that's not the end of this chapter. We cut to the rooftop in the Skull Dome, where Kaido is fighting Yamato in his hybrid dragon form, and we see that Yamato has a hybrid form of some type of creature of her own. And with Kaido saying, I recognize your value as a soldier, Yamato. Is that what a father is supposed to say? Says Yamato. And then Kaido says, I worked hard to acquire that devil fruit. I never intended for you to eat it. And then Yamato says, I was hungry. I didn't know that would happen either. I wanted to sail out to sea, but I couldn't swim anymore. With her saying, I tried to kill you more times than I can count, and more times than I can count, you beat me down, but it made me stronger. Those cuffs weren't the only thing keeping me here on this island. And we see a little bit of what Yamato is, but it is not described. I describe it as a kidding, but it remains to be seen if that's actually what she is. With her saying, if I don't fight for the sake of this country, then I can't call myself Odin. And that is the last thing we see as Yamato is facing her father, and they're both in hybrid Zoan forms. We know what Kaido is, but we don't know what Yamato is. Hopefully, tomorrow's chapter, once it's officially released, we get explained what that actually is. I can't wait to find out what. But those are the only 2 chapters we got in the month of July. Now, there were good chapters. Let me see. Why I have this impression that Robin used already Haki with her powers? I don't know. What's going on, Smash? It looks like Conqueror's Haki. I love chapter 1019. Oda's imagination was acting up again. It really is. It really is. When you can make a Triceratops use its own head-attached bone frill to fly. To make a ground-bound dinosaur learn how to fly. That's really weird. We kind of don't know that. I don't think Wikipedia is very reliable. Any thoughts on the anime spoiling Zoro's Conqueror's Haki with a filler scene? Shonen Sensei, I don't know how I really don't know. I really don't know how I felt about them doing that soon. Like, it would have made more sense for it to be brought up and alluded to during the fight on the rooftop, don't you think? But for them to animate that into a scene way before any fighting even actually starts on Onigashima, the operation literally just started. The true fighting doesn't happen until, Kaido makes his big announcement. He betrays Orochi, and then more fighting starts, and then the scabbards stab into Kaido, and then they all get launched up to the rooftop. Then they all get beat. There's a lot of ground to cover before we get to the point where even the worst generation even show up on the rooftop. And then Zoro cuts into Kaido. There is so much ground to cover before that even happens. So I don't know why they decided to kind of spoil it way ahead of its time. Because do you know how long it's going to take us to get to even the start of the major fights in Onigashima? In the anime, it's going to take a while. I don't think Who's Who and Sasaki are finished yet. I mean, it remains to be seen. It remains to be seen if Who's Who and Sasaki are finished yet. But given the given the special attacks moved on them, and we see in the whites of their eyes, they're no longer in real fighting shape, to say the least. Like, I'm putting my ducats into Jinbei and Frankie have beaten their respective Tobi Roppos, with Black Maria being the only one left. That's just how it looks to me. With CP0 going to come behind Jinbei to confirm and make sure that Who's Who never leaves Onigashima alive. Sasaki, they can take it or leave it, but it seems like Frankie's pretty much won this fight, but it remains to be seen. I don't think we don't know that. I don't think Wikipedia is very reliable. It's a good thing I don't use Wikipedia for anything. So who did Kaido intend to give this fruit to? He couldn't eat, or could he? I don't know. I actually had a theory pop up in my head when I was at work the other night. Not last night, but the night before. The On Wednesday night. I was thinking, what if the idea of people being able to hold more devil fruits in their body, what if the process was discovered, but it's incredibly rare for someone to do it, with Blackbeard being that incredibly rare occurrence of it happening. Now, mind you, I have absolutely no basis for this theory. It literally just popped into my head and I just thought about it. So do not take whatever I say about what if the concept of people eating more devil fruits and housing more powers in their body, please do not take that seriously. It was just a random thought I had because my batteries died out and I couldn't listen to music anymore because I was bored. So please, this is just a random thought I had. Don't take it seriously. But it does beg the question of who Kaido was going to give that fruit to. Because all of his Tobi Roppo already had Zoan powers. All of his calamities already have Zoan powers. He's definitely not going to give a fruit that he himself goes out of his way to find to a random headliner or gifter or whatever. He's not going to give it to someone who's just a gifter or something like that. So it begs the question who he was trying to get the fruit for, or who he was intending to give the fruit to. That's the real question right there. Because for Kaido to go out, and here's the thing, it has to be like another mythical Zoan type because of the way it is. There's no real creature in this world that looks like that. It looks like a mythical creature, like a Kirin, and I hope that's what it is. But if it isn't, hey, that's fine. But other than that, those were the 2 chapters that we got. Now, here's the thing. Even though we're starting to tie up the loose ends with the Tobi Roppo, with Black Maria being the only one who's really fighting right now, we still have some other loose ends to tie up. We have Hawkins versus Killer. We have Kid and Law versus Big Mom. We have Sanji versus Queen. We have Luffy, who has just now who's just now regained consciousness, begging for meat. We have Shinobu and Momonosuke, who have landed on the ground on Wano. We still don't know the official fate of Kinemon after he was impaled by Kaido. We have CP0 just sitting around watching everything go down. We still got the other Akazaya 9 who are just going through doing their own thing. We got Nekomamushi trying to find Peros Pero due to his actions that led to the death of Pedro, and also what he did to Carrot and Wanda. We have Marco, who is still in there. But we didn't see him fight anybody. And here's the thing, all this is going on, and we still have the rest of the Charlotte children that traveled with Big Mom to Wano still out there somewhere. There's just a lot of ground to cover. All the while, Onigashima is still floating towards the center of Wano. I don't see how the Straw Hats can liberate Wano without killing Kaido, but I also don't see how they'll be able to do that. See, that's the thing, Shonen Sensei. Kaido is just that strong that it's really difficult to see how the Straw Hats are going to beat him. That includes Luffy. I held out a long time thinking that, Luffy's going to beat him because it wouldn't make... he has to beat him. If he's going to become the next Pirate King, he has to beat Kaido. But given the nature that every time Luffy has faced Kaido, it has literally ended with Luffy getting baby shaped. Every single time. Even after learning how to imbue his attacks with Conqueror's Haki so he can match Kaido, did I read the new chapter yet? Karma, you know I don't read chapters on earlier than Sundays. I never read the early scans. Never. You know that. So I don't know. I don't know anything about the new chapter, and I don't want to know. You guys are going to have to wait to see my reaction tomorrow. So I don't know anything. We only got 2 chapters this month, And we only got 2 official chapters, not early scan chapters that people read on Fridays and whatever. We only got 2 chapters, chapters 1018 and 1019. Also, hi Karma, how you doing? Don't ever speak negatively on the almighty Uzaki-kan! Uzumaki-kan! I really haven't looked at any of his videos in a minute. I thought today was Sunday. Oh no, it's Saturday, my friend. It is the last day of July. We're doing reflections on today on the past chapters that we got. But given the nature of just how strong Kaido is, it really brings up a valid point of how exactly everyone's going to beat him. It's crazy when you think about it that every attempt to fully subdue Kaido has pretty much failed, even though in his past he has been captured numerous times. But it just makes me wonder what more can be done against Kaido to actually make him submit. Because as of right now, he is the most powerful person in all of One Piece right now. That everyone has ever faced. His strength has never been matched by anyone else that we've seen. Actively. So it just begs the question about what is it going to take to bring down the world's strongest creature? Like, he's broken beyond so many levels. Not just strength-wise, but being able to use Conqueror's Haki to imbue his weapon and his attacks with even more power that surpasses that of Armament Haki? Simple. Luffy will beat him. All he needs is to eat some meat. I mean, that tends to be his power-up. Eating food tends to get him back in fighting shape again. Just like drinking milk gets Brook to heal his bones. Which is crazy. We need Gear 5 Tiger Man. Look, if Luffy breaks out a new gear form, that'd be sick. I still stand by maybe CP0 will have some kind of way to permanently subdue Kaido after Luffy has knocked him out. I mean, CP0 pretty much doesn't care if everyone kills each other. I mean, they do want to guarantee the death of who's who, but at the end of the day, they pretty much said themselves that we frankly don't care about the outcome of this battle. Just as long if the more pirates who kill themselves and kill each other, the better. If Luffy beats Kaido 1v1, I'll stop reading. I don't know, Karma. Try not to make that promise to yourself. You never know with Oda. You really don't. But we do have a lot of ground to cover still. We still have Sanji versus Queen, like I said before. We still have King, who's out there somewhere. We still have Marco, who's out there doing something. Chopper is currently out of commission right now because he's Benjamin Buttoned himself after overusing his monster point. So Chopper is no longer in any fighting shape right now. Like, he's literally so small he fits in the hands of Tristan. Gear 5 Luffy and Opened Eyes Zoro versus Kaido. I dream for this. Like, here's something I thought of at work again, and I was thinking, all the fights that we've seen Zoro in, and Luffy grows a new tooth by drinking milk, and it's instantaneous. But here's the thing about Zoro. Ever since the time skip, Zoro has been fighting with one eye closed. Now try closing one of your eyes. Just try closing one of your eyes. That is literally so much peripheral vision. So much peripheral vision blocked out. Like, I can't even see what my hand is doing over here. Like, I know how many fingers I'm holding up because I can feel how many fingers I'm holding up. But I can't see what's going on over here. Versus when I open this eye, in my peripheral vision, I can see my hand closing and opening and all that. And just think about that. All this time, Zoro has been fighting with less peripheral vision. Now, mind you, he has observation haki, so that allows him to compensate for that. But the fact that he doesn't use sight in one of his eyes, it's like he's been handicapped since the start of the time skip. And that has not diminished his strength at all. Imagine if Zoro opening his eye does nothing. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't even be upset if him opening both of his eyes literally does nothing whatsoever. I wouldn't be surprised. But even after the Beast Pirates vacate Wano, the world government is bound to move in right after. The Sea Prism Stone is far too valuable for them to pass up. Like I said this numerous times, even if Wano is fully liberated and they open their borders, that's just going to invite nefarious people to come to Wano for ulterior motives. Because, like I said multiple times, Wano is the Wakanda of One Piece. They have a material there that you absolutely cannot get anyplace else, and it's so safely guarded that, I mean, frankly, it's near impossible to get into Wano, let alone get out. Are you aware that One Piece has just recently surpassed Batman and is now the second best-selling comic in the world? Hey, manga's taking over. You got all these trash comics out there like I'm Not Starfire and anything else that Marvel's doing with its own misguided wokeness, and it's not succeeding. But you got manga out here just killing it right now. Killing it. Which is why I prefer manga to comics. Now, there's some good comics out there, but hey, I'll choose manga over comics any day of the week. There are only some exceptions to comics that I'll read. But how are they supposed to know the borders are open? One Piece is built different. Okay, so here's the thing, Karma. CP0 is there. Would not be surprised if either CP0 or Drake says that Wano's borders have been opened. I can see Oda trolling and have Zoro just be like, oh, I just had some dust in my eye. Dust in your eye for 2 years? Yes, woke is a dish best served broke. Old Klingon proverb. That's a proverb to live by. And like when you see these comics out today, it's like we need to be so inclusive that we exclude everyone else. Like, what happened to just good old-fashioned storytelling that made it worth to spend like $9.99 for a comic? What happened to that? You get better storytelling out of manga and in one chapter than you do in an entire series of all of these ridiculous comics that are out there right now. It's ridiculous when you think about it. But yeah, the world government will probably find out that Wano's borders are open due to CP0. You know, CP0 is the super secretive, nefarious type, and I wouldn't be surprised if they say that. I wonder when they're going to make their move. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to make their move in an attempt to... I wouldn't be surprised if they try to make their move when the SSG is revealed. Because if they reveal the SSG, you know, the thing that's supposed to replace all the warlords they pretty much just ousted as pirates again. They're going to need as much Kairoseki as they can get their hands on in order to make more warships, in order to deal with the more powerful pirates who are out there right now. So, with that, and losing the warlords, they're going to need to up their manpower, which means they're going to need to up their warships and up their handcuffs and pretty much anything else they need. Which means that Wano is going to be prime pickings for the world government to get their grubby little hands into it in order to supply their own nefarious needs. Can't wait to find out why Wano was closed off in the first place. I mean, it is so ancient history that even Odin's father's father, it happened hundreds of years ago. I want to say hundreds of years ago. Makes She-Hulk ugly because reasons. I mean, I could go on a whole tangent of why She-Hulk looks ridiculous now. They say, for story reasons, she says she prefers her bulky form because she hated being looked at like a piece of meat when she was slender and attractive. And I guess they expect everyone to treat She-Hulk the exact same when she's massive and looks like Abby from Last of Us. It seems like the writers of American comics have forgotten that people read comics to have a brief escape from reality, not to be bombarded with a political agenda. See, that's the thing that many people are losing sight of. We don't play games for politics. We don't read comics for politics. We read we read comics and we play games to escape that. It's ridiculous when they try to put real world issues in the things that we try to escape, that we read in order to get away from real world issues. Comics are supposed to be a relief, supposed to be a getaway from the real world in life. For kids, for comics, it's supposed to be a getaway for things that are going on in their lives. If they have bad days, hey, pick up a comic and enjoy yourself all the cool things that's happening. Spider-Man's being a superhero and encouraging kids to be better. But no, you got to include politics and ridiculous stuff in your comic books because they think it's going to sell? People are crazy. It's ridiculous. I'd rather read a story of the Hulk just being the Hulk than read a Hulk manga where he's trying to, you know, what is a good example? What is a good example? I'd rather read a Hulk magazine where it's just him fighting people and causing destruction and just being overpowered than She-Hulk coming around saying like, "You're not the true Hulk. I'm the true Hulk." And she's just massive and she's just uh massive and she's just ugly looking, and yet we're supposed to treat that as the better Hulk. Like that's and then they try to make it where she was stronger than Hulk for some reason. It's real odd. And they made her like one of the contenders to get the Phoenix Force, and she had that ridiculous looking Phoenix outfit on, and she was just overly muscular, and it was ridiculous. Yeah, and they canceled Pepe Le Pew. They did. They canceled Pepe Le Pew, yet kept those characters from Clockwork Orange in the movie. And the Clockwork Orange dudes did so many horrendous things in the movie. I never watched a Clockwork Orange, but I do know that those characters have done some things that by even mentioning it on YouTube could possibly get your videos demonetized. And yet they're in the background of the movie. Then they got Pennywise in the movie as well. We can't have Pepe Le Pew because he's a womanizer, and we can't have him influencing children that way. But also, let's include these characters who have done far worse than Pepe Le Pew couldn't even get a chance to do in Looney Tunes. Let's have them in the background of the basketball game in that movie. Yeah, it makes perfect sense for that Looney Tunes movie to do that. We had Looney Tunes in our childhood. Kids today have a loony woke world. See, apparently people seem to think that woke is the way to go, but if those short-lived, dumb Marvel comics, you know, the ones that have like a characters called Safe Space and Snowflake and the goth vampire dude and the other dumb characters like that one hefty girl who had like a backpack that had like hammer space inside. It's just, you don't really know your audience. And then you have people here in America, and I know I'm going off on a completely different tangent since I'm done talking about One Piece and my theories. I really hope we find out what Yamato is in the next chapter. If we don't, I really hope we get to see more of the Black Maria fight. There's a lot of things to tie up. Let me just finish. Let me just wrap up my One Piece thing before I get back onto the ludicrousy of how America seems to think that we get to dictate to people how they should make their media. But I enjoyed these chapters, including seeing Yamato in a new possible mythical zone hybrid form. We don't know what it is, but I really do hope to see what it is in the next chapter tomorrow. Like I said, we're getting a One Piece chapter tomorrow, and we're getting a My Hero Academia chapter tomorrow as well. So I'm looking forward to that. And I really did enjoy these chapters because it's starting to wrap up the Tobi Roppo things as well. But now let me get back to what I was talking about. Anyone remember One Saturday Morning on WB in the 90s? Yes, I remember One Saturday Morning. I remember One Saturday Morning. I remember Fox Kids. Like, they had so many good cartoons back when people weren't scared to make jokes and scared to offend everyone, because apparently people can't take jokes nowadays. Like, oh, you said this joke? Oh, Now I'm gonna remember this. I'm gonna bring it back up when you're really successful, so that people can start to the whole cancer, not cancer, but cancel. Well, it actually kind of is cancer when you think about it. Not saying this against people who actually have cancer. I'm just using it as an example of something that is absolutely horrible and has no place in this world. That is how I'm describing it. But this cancel culture is just ridiculous. But going to Marvel Comics, you have people trying to besmirch how successful manga is right now. And then you have people here in America who are trying to say, "Wow, your characters don't look realistic. I don't understand why people would draw these characters like this." Like, for an example, Uzaki-chan. People had a problem with the way Uzaki-chan looked, and it was like, "Oh, her back must be hurting because, she has a big chest." And people were saying, like, let me fix your drawing. Like, we Americans have any right to try and tell other countries and other nations what real art is. And we created I'm Not Starfire. We created the Batwoman show on CW. We created Looney Tunes 2. Like, really, we're one to talk about quality of art. And we made that. As much as I like to live in this country, as much as I really do like to live in this country, and like, I'd love living here in America. But there are people here in America that just makes America just seems like complete idiots. The moment you start trying to tell other countries and dictate to them, like, "Oh, you can't do this because this is not how it's done here," like, you're trying to enforce what is run in one country into another. And I am so grateful that Japan has stuck to their guns, saying, like, because remember, there was a moment where people were saying, like, Japan was going to start censoring their manga in order to cater to Western audiences. And thank God they were corrected when Japan says, "We are not about to sacrifice our own creative vision for the sake of other countries. We're going to keep doing what we're doing." Good on you, Japan! Sticking with your guns and not falling prey to the stupidity of those who fall in Anita Sarkeesian and anyone else who deals with this whole woke nature that is trying to dictate everything. I will not even pirate Looney Tunes. It is literally just a showcase of all of WB properties. That's what it is. It's just a showcase of all characters that are under the WB license, and they just added LeBron James. And that's it. Don Cheadle's in it. That's it. There's not much else I can say about it. But I'm glad that people and countries and nations like Japan exist that says, like, "Hey, we don't care if you don't like this, but you don't speak for everyone." I am so glad that Japan is happy and brave enough to tell the woke culture that, well, it's a good thing we're not selling our manga to you. We're selling it to the people who will actually buy it. You can besmirch us, you can get on Twitter, you can say that you're recreating our characters and everything, but hey, you try and make a manga and you try and make a comic with your fixed characters, ain't nobody gonna buy it. They're gonna buy our stuff because we know how to be real. We don't know how to be fake for likes and retweets and requotes. That's why I will always support manga, because at least they're real. I look back fondly on the days when American comics set the bar on an entire genre of stuff like Killing Joke and Watchmen. The state of America's entertainment industry truly breaks my heart. It's sad when who has the nerve to say manga characters don't look realistic, like their overly muscular, broad-shouldered, and chiseled chins look any better. Right. Your characters look fake. Meanwhile, we have entire TV shows dedicated to women who get themselves so juiced up with Botox and plastic surgery that we're actually supposed to root for them and support them. But Japan's characters look unrealistic. Okay. Alright. Okay. Sure. Thankfully, Japan and South Korea have our backs with manhwas and manga, which is why there's a reason why the manga section is so huge and the comic section, like I go to my local Barnes and Noble, the manga section has a massive space dedicated to just sheer amounts of manga. Both sides of bookshelves and in like a square-like pattern and where they set up the manga. And the comics are just set up on 2 bookshelves behind that. That's how much space regular American comics have compared to endless amounts of manga that take up a whole section. But that's enough of my little tirade with the woke culture and its ridiculousness and how I am so glad that I have common sense and that I have not fallen prey to the whole idea of the whole wokeness that people seem to stand behind. I am so glad that I got common sense. Also, let me touch on another subject. There was a thing where one of the former devs of Insomniac was trying to say that it's wrong for Rivet to look feminine in Ratchet and Clank. For reasons that escape me. Fun fact, the country of Japan uses more paper every year on manga than it does on toilet paper. That's because manga is a billion-dollar industry. Who cares if you can't wipe every now and again? As long as you get that manga out, that's where that paper's going. But yeah, some random former Insomniac dude tried to go on a tirade about how he didn't like how they were making Rivet look feminine in Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I mean, how else would you really tell if she was a girl? I mean, one of the best ways and one of the most instantly recognizable ways to judge one gender from another is that dudes don't have, well, full fronts. Let me just say that. Let me choose my words carefully. They don't have full fronts and they don't have super narrow waists unless you're a JoJo character. Then you have both of those. But it was weird. It's weird how people will try to make it seem like, well, this female character should not look female because of whatever reasons. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird how people try to dictate the anatomy of an alien creature and then try to apply it with human standards. It really is weird. It's weird. It's weird how a fictional character makes people that bothered. Like, really? They should have made her like I'm Not Starfire. Oh, you mean the gender swap penguin girl? No. When the femininity of an anthropomorphized cartoon, I couldn't even say that. Anthropomorphic, I'm just gonna say anthropomorphic. Cartoon character offends you, there's something wrong. It really is. But that I'm Not Starfire, I never read it. I've only seen images and it already puts me off. I'm just wondering, who did Star have a kid with to get their kid to look like that? It's sad. And then we find out that the author of I'm Not Starfire is basically that character. She just inserted herself into that comic. And throws a fit when people don't buy her comics or ridicule it. I'm done. I'm done with my tirade because some people will get mad and upset that I'm talking about this thing. But let me just say this. I don't care about your woke culture. It's not going to influence me. It's not going to influence my channel. You can keep it in the deepest parts of your basement because I will never, ever interact with it. I got common sense, I got taste, and I got standards. So if you got a problem with me not kowtowing to your woke nature and everything, too bad. Nightwing is the father. See, now I know comics are tripping. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. These two, one handsome, one gorgeous, and they create a gremlin. Ain't no way. There ain't no way. Ain't no way. There ain't no way. Nightwing must have had some Joker toxin in his body, or some of Scarecrow's fear toxin in his bloodstream, or maybe he had some venom from Bane. Had to have been. That ain't no natural birth. That is a curse from Darkseid. I don't know. There ain't no way. Ain't no way. But I'm done. I'm done. How long did I go on for? An hour and 14 minutes. Not as long as I tend to go, but given the nature that we only had like 2 chapters, yeah, this was good enough. And plus, I need to go. It is 1 o'clock. I need to check on Kenzo, make sure he's good, and get myself some food and enjoy the rest of my Saturday, as I'm probably gonna pass out and go to sleep because I have not slept since I got home from work. So I'm literally running off of roughly about 3.5 hours of sleep from yesterday, and I've been wide awake ever since. So I'm definitely gonna get myself some rest after I get myself some food. But overall, I did enjoy these One Piece chapters. Look at me going from One Piece to talking about like dumb comics, dumb American comics, then back to One Piece again. And then calling the conclusion there. The longer the stream, the better, in my opinion. I know, but at the same time, if I go any longer, I'm gonna start continuously rambling, and I'll never get any sleep. Like I haven't taken a nap whatsoever. I've been running off of 3.5 hours of sleep, and my shift lasted about 7 hours last night. 3 hours of sleep, worked a 7-hour shift, came home earlier this morning, and I have not gone to sleep. I need to get some rest. I really do. But let me not keep you guys here any longer than I already have. I am looking forward to tomorrow's chapter. I'm gonna go hibernate. Hey, I'm gonna get myself, I got like a smokehouse brisket from Arby's. It was actually quite good. Might get myself another one and go hibernate after that and get myself some rest. Then I'll get back up and do a little gaming later. What a day. But the thing is, when it comes to this, I could be dog tired and I still have plenty of energy to do this for you guys. That's how much I love this! So I just want to say thank you everyone for the continued support of this channel. We are getting closer and closer to 2,400 subscribers. 2,400! Oh my goodness! I treat every 100 subscriber that is added to this channel as a massive achievement, and I am so glad you guys have stuck with me all this time. Yes, I mess up my words. Yes, I flub lines. Yes, I don't get everything right, but I'm glad you guys stick with me regardless, and you have my profound admiration and respect for it. Now, since we're going into August, tomorrow, let's see what type of chapters we're gonna be getting from One Piece and My Hero Academia. But that's when am I going to announce Demon Slayer's replacement? I am working on that. I'm working on that, on what you guys would like to see. Like, people are saying the beginning of the end. I think it was you, Shonen Sensei, who said beginning of the end to replace Demon Slayer. I am actually going to, when I'm done with Demon Slayer, I'm going to take a short break. Like, I'm not going to have a manga pop up the next Monday after I'm done reading through Demon Slayer this upcoming Tuesday, because the final volume of Demon Slayer releases this upcoming Tuesday and includes the extended pages from the final chapter that I heard so much about, and I'm going to be reading that live here on this channel on Tuesday when I get it. But I'm probably not going to have the next series ready to be up the following week. It might be the week after that following week. So I will keep you guys posted. I'll post it in the Discord, and I'll post it on the community tab just in case no one's on either, so that way I can keep you guys updated. But I will let you know. I'll probably put a poll in there. Feel free to go into Discord, or you put in the comments what you guys would like for me to cover as a replacement for Demon Slayer going forward. I'll be happy to look into it and see which ones are worth me going into and giving and bringing to you guys, because I like doing story read-throughs. I really do. I like it with My Hero Academia, and then people are still watching my old My Hero Academia videos, and people like my Demon Slayer ones as well. So you guys just let me know what you would like to see Demon Slayer replaced with, and we'll go on from there. the beginning after the end is amazing solo leveling type hype. So is the beginning after the end still ongoing, or is that story finished? That's one of the things I kind of want to clarify. Let me know. Let me know later. I encourage everyone here to check it out. I'll check it out. I have it on my list. I remember the list that I came up with from you guys the last time I did like a long solo leveling stream. But we'll talk about more. We'll talk more about that later. We'll clear that up when we get to it. But like I said, post it in the Discord if you in general chat if you guys want to be maybe One Punch Man. I mean, I got all the volumes of One Punch Man currently, and I don't know where the story is right now. I know it's someplace, but I just don't know where it is specifically. So just keep me posted, and I'll look into it, and I will let you know when I bring a new series to the channel. But that's all I got. I'm gonna go ahead and get myself something to eat. I'm gonna go ahead and take Kenzo out. My mom and sisters actually went and got Kenzo shaved, and when we got him, he was just like a big old puffy ball of fur. But now they shaved him down, but kept a lot of fur on his head, and he looks just like a Funko Pop right now. And he looks real skinny without all that fur on his body. I prefer him with long fur, so I'm gonna take him out and check on him. But like I said, let me not keep you here any longer than I already have. And I said that this is probably the third time I said that, but thank you for supporting this channel. It is an absolute honor and blessing for me to bring the talents that I have to people like you. For all the years that I've done this, I've loved every single moment of it. There have been highs, there have been lows, but I have never regretted my decision of starting this channel and devoting all the time and effort into what I do here. It does not feel wasted. It does not feel wasted at all. And I absolutely am humbled to be someone that you guys enjoy to watch. But let me not get sentimental here because I will, and then this will carry on for another 5 minutes. So with that being said, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then consider subscribing because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples.